Arizona's Assistant Secretary of State, Allie Bones, is joining us now from Phoenix. And we appreciate you giving us some time because I'm sure this is a busy time of year for you. Can you explain what's happening in Maricopa County and who's responsible for ensuring that the election equipment is working correctly?
Yeah, good morning. So in Maricopa County yesterday, the first thing that's really important to acknowledge is that every voter who came to vote yesterday will have their ballot counted. And what happened is that there was an issue with the tabulator being able to read the ballots that were coming out of the ballot on demand printers that they had set up at the on-site election day polling locations. But what was the option for voters was to either go to another vote center if they didn't want to vote in that location where they might have been having problems with the tabulators, or the voter could insert their ballot into a secure drop box and the ballot would be taken to Maricopa Central Count Facility to be tabulated last night. This is a process that we know works, and this is why we contingency plan and backup plan for any thing that might happen. Technology problems sometimes exist, and we make sure that there's ways that voters are able to continue to cast their ballot.
Problems do happen, but it's incredibly frustrating when you show up to vote and you can't do it. Why did these problems happen in the first place?
Well, just to be clear, voters were able to vote. There was not an inability for voters to vote. So if someone stayed and cast their ballot at that polling location, they were able to do so. And it is very common for ballots to be returned to a central facility for tabulation. 8 of Arizona's counties, 15 counties, tabulate at a central count facility. So those ballots aren't tabulated at a vote center level tabulator. They're put in a secure box and transferred back to the facility and tabulated there. So it is not uncommon at all for that to happen in jurisdictions across the country, and especially not here in Arizona either.
So the Secretary of State is Katie Hobbs. She's also running to be the governor. And some Republicans have suggested that maybe she should have recused herself from that role because maybe there's an appearance of a conflict here. Is there any reason for concern with her running her campaign, but also, and that interfering with her job as Secretary of State?
No, and we've been reviewing this situation for quite some time, obviously, and the Secretary of State's role is largely an oversight role. We set policy and procedures that happen well before an election starts. We test the equipment through our logic and accuracy testing, and we made sure that the Secretary actually did not participate in those processes this year to avoid any appearance of anything that she might have been involved with. You see me here today talking about what's happening in the election because it is a close election. We know that there are lots of questions about her involvement, and we're operating at the highest ethical standards and providing transparency to the public. And if the case arises where a conflict of interest does exist, where the governor's race is implicated in anything that our office is involved with, then that will be an opportunity that the secretary, will acknowledge that conflict and recuse herself. But that conflict has not presented itself to this point.
Elliot, it does not appear there were widespread issues in Arizona or anywhere really in the country, but how much ammunition do you think the issues that were there will give to those who want to dispute the results?
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen that people are using what happened in Maricopa County to allege that there was some level of fraud, to say that, there was malfeasance in the administration of the elections yesterday, but that is absolutely not true. We were prepared for people to show up to vote yesterday. This tabulator issue is something that, like I said, technology issues sometimes happen, and the county is prepared with backup plans to allow voters to be able to, cast their votes securely. So we know that this is going to be used to question the results, but, we prepare for those things anyway. We know that no matter what, in a close race, and this is going to be the governor's race, the U.S. Senate race, some of these congressional races are going to be razor thin.
We've been hearing about poll workers in Arizona facing threats, harassment. These are just regular people, often volunteers, who work very long hours. And if you think you had to wait a long time to cast your ballot, imagine if no one wants to be a poll worker, right? If you don't have people to help run these places. But I'm wondering, harassment, threats, no one needs that. How seriously is that sort of behavior taken?
Well, that behavior is taken incredibly seriously. Our election workers are heroes. And, we are so thankful for all the people who stepped up yesterday and worked very long hours at all of our polling locations across the state, as well as well into the night, who were organizing and tabulating all of the ballots that came in from the day. It is incredibly hard work. And so our law enforcement community and our election professional community takes these threats very seriously and will take action if anything, comes to pass. But it was a relatively quiet day in terms of, people being respectful at the voting locations, as well as we didn't see widespread protests or anything like that last night at any of the tabulation facilities. So all in all, so far anyway, relatively quiet.
Allie, quickly, before we let you go, when do you think all results in Arizona will be final?
So we're looking at the later part of this week. We still have ballots that were received Sunday, Monday, yesterday that have to be signature verified and processed before they can be tabulated. And so we're expecting counties will be updating on the Secretary of State's website today how many ballots they have left to process. And then we think that we'll have results probably Friday, Saturday timeframe.
Election day becomes election week. Allie Bones, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.